Hello, podcast listeners. Today I'll be coming to you from the Alexander Valley, high atop the Mayacamas Mountains in North Sonoma County, although we are inside at a sizable wine production facility. Buckle up. This is On the Wine Road.
I needed to really understand the whole entirety and really embrace this passion that I have and this love for the grapes and the vines and then the fruit. And it's just so like I'm in love with like my true love, wine.
My interview today is not typical of the relaxed winemakers, distillers, or chefs I often feature. Alicia Sylvester is quite youthful, exuberant, and highly passionate about what she does. I mentioned on my On the Wine Road Facebook post that listening to Alicia will be kind of like a master class for anyone considering a winemaking career. One can learn from how her interest developed, how she used her determination to forge ahead, how the fear of losing financial support can be a motivator. Many of us are familiar with that, and how you can take advantage of opportunities and the friendships you make in the industry. And if you apply that, lesson by lesson, as Alicia did, with the same verve and desire, you could succeed as well as she has, which has becoming the head winemaker for Banshee Wines, crafting small lot, single vineyard designate wines for their club, and also upwards of 70,000 cases for wholesale. As I mentioned at the top of the podcast, you'll need to buckle up. Although we sat in Alicia's office, she exudes a force of energy. I'm Jeff Davis. Thanks for joining me. I met today's guest, Alicia Sylvester, during the Sonoma County Vintners Barrel Auction a few weeks ago. And by the way, congratulations to them for raising $455,000 for their endeavors. And this is where I'll pick up my interview with Alicia.
It was a really great event. It's fun to see everyone coming back out again.
It was fun to sit next to you for a little while. And so we talked briefly, but tell me about your background. How did you get to where you are today?
Well, I could talk about it for hours, but I'll try to give you the summary. I'm from Modesto area, so Ceres, if we're going to be super technical, and this is farmland. So a lot of people, when I go traveling or when I went to college in San Luis Obispo, they will ask me, like, are you from Texas? I'm like, no, just farm town, Central California. So I was raised on a almond farm, so almonds, and we had, yeah, exactly. So we had almonds, and we had some Zinfandel wine grapes for bulk wine, and that's really where it sparked my interest going to college. I knew I needed to, I didn't initially want to continue in agriculture because I was a little rebellious, but then I knew that was my duty. And so going to college, I was like, okay, I'm going to do something in agriculture, ag business. Let's see what we're going to go with. Let's take some classes in dairy, since I had been very involved in 4-H with replacement heifers. And so that's, the kids in the white clothes at the fair with the green hats and scarves and so really fun. So took classes, interesting. I know lots about cows. And then I also took classes in wine. And, I don't know as much about wine at that time. And I was like, yes. So I traded in my poop shovel for a grape shovel. And
that smells better anyway.
I could tell you the different aromas of the different farm cows, horses. So that's fun.
Vineyard workers.
Yeah. The porta potties, though. We all. So with that, I focused my studies in wine business, and then I hit the ground and, really learn by doing is Cal Poly's motto in San Luis Obispo and any California Polytechnic state. And so my first internship, what do I know? The vineyard back at home. So I went and I worked for Bronco in their vineyard. So that's fourth largest. That was 10 years ago. But so I was in the vineyards, checking sugar samples 10 hours a day, and this was great. And I was like, well, this is cool, but like, I need some people to talk to. I need to be engaged and a little more challenged.
So you didn't do a harvest? It wasn't your first intern gig. You actually got right out in the vineyard, started doing samples and such.
Well, so I was still in school. Right. And so at Cal Poly, you don't start until like the end of September. So I was able to get in the early varieties and hit the sparkling, and in the Central Valley, it ripens earlier. So I was able to, since my degree was ag business, my minor was wine and viticulture, I didn't have to technically do a harvest and take a quarter off. So I was trying to be strategic, right? Strategic.
Well, some some people like to do it anyway, just for fun and enjoy the opportunity and see what it's about.
Yeah, and some people aren't exactly like me, where my parents said you have 4 years to get through college, and if you get it done in more than that good luck, have fun. That dough's coming out of your wallet. So I was very determined to stay on the course.
You sounded like your father right there.
Well, I stayed the course, and I was able to really make that work. So I worked in the vineyard, and I said, this is great. And then I left right when harvest was getting popping. And but then that's when sugar sampling kind of slows down. The next year I said, okay, let's do the same thing, but we did it with wine. And I was at Bronco, and I was in their laboratory. And this is, I stayed in the lab. I never even touched the tanks or the wine, a few times, but this is so big. You're just in the lab.
Why don't you tell our listeners what Bronco is?
Brothers and cousins from the Central Valley, and this is from the Fred Franzia, and it's the fourth largest wine company in the United States.
Because they bought a lot of brands.
Oh, yes. You'll never see Bronco on anything, but they have a lot of different brands that they do, and it's a very affordable wine, right? We'll say very affordable entry-level wine, and wines that are consistently made the same every time. And large volumes as well.
And you need to get that.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to tell them, don't call me. Hi, I have a radio interview right now. Bye.
Short and to the point.
I felt compelled to leave in that unexpected interruption. I liked the way she handled the call and the way she slammed the phone down. She's Alicia Sylvester, the winemaker at Banshee Wines, and we're learning all that she went through to become a winemaker.
It was a great place for me to learn and get into wine. It was 5 minutes from my childhood home.
Wow. It must have just been, I won't say overwhelming, but just what a huge facility to be working within.
Well, it was overwhelming. I was like, what are we doing? Because I didn't know either. I was learning. So I was like, what? Why are we doing this analysis? And really moving through, but I wanted to learn more. So that internship, I was like, okay, I know the analysis, but why? I want to know why. Why? I wanted to know more about wine and winemaking. And so the next year I was like, okay, I need to, I had graduated, and I got an internship right in the Napa Valley. And
Nice.
It was a winemaking enologist internship. So all of harvest, I was done with school. And so I was like, okay, I got a job. Everybody's happy, parents happy, college grad, woo woo. 4 years, major, minor, studied abroad, got it done. And so I did my first harvest, and that is when I could be in the vineyard. I could be in the lab. I was in the tanks. And
People were around.
Yeah, everything. Learning from winemakers, working with the barrels, learning the forklift, learning really everything in this nice medium-sized winery where I could understand everything. Instead of when you get to larger wineries, sometimes you got to focus on this job, you need to focus on this. Right. And that's a great way to do it. But I needed to really understand the whole entirety and really embrace this passion that I have and this love for the grapes and the vines and then the fruit. And it's just so I'm in love with my true love, wine.
It fit your desires, huh?
Yeah, it really did. And I mean, even just driving into Napa, coming from the Central Valley, I hadn't, when you live on a farm, you don't get off the farm as much because you need to feed your animals every morning and night. Right. And then when you're young too, you don't really come to Napa Valley to go wine tasting because you don't have enough money and you're just of drinking age. So when I drove up, oh my gosh, I can remember. I looked like that star-eyed emoji. I was just mouth wide open. I was like, oh my gosh, this is something else. Wow. And with the topography in Sonoma County and Napa County with the mountain ranges that divide us, it's just really, I almost instantly fell in love. And that's where I hit the ground running and said, I'm going to be a winemaker. I was really nervous. I thought everybody, all the interns, they're going to be a winemaker because why not? I fell in love so quick. Well, it turns out that's not the case. Winemaking's not for everyone. No. I don't get that.
Some people like to be alone. They don't want to be around a lot of people. So being in the vineyard's perfect for them.
Exactly. And that's exactly true. And that really liked about the wine industry is that there's so many areas within it. And so after I did that harvest, I harvest hopped and I went from Australia, Italy, Denmark, South Africa, back to California, and then to Argentina. So 5 different countries. And
judging by your energy, I'm guessing that took, what, 6 months?
yeah, it was back to back. I didn't see the spring, I think for like 3 years. And then because it's summer, fall, winter, go to the next country, summer, fall, winter. Summer, fall, winter.
You're changing hemispheres too.
Exactly. So I missed the spring, and that first spring that I saw again, I was like, oh wow, I forgot this. Okay, California's green.
I don't know about you, but I find Alicia's energy and enthusiasm about her experiences in the wine industry highly entertaining. And as I said at the beginning of the show, her path can easily be followed to assist any person considering the wine industry as a vocation. There's much more to be inspired about when I continue with Alicia Sylvester of Banshee Wines, next on the Wine Road. You're listening to On the Wine Road. I'm Jeff Davis, and my guest today is the extremely driven, highly motivated Alicia Sylvester. Her drive has paid off. As you'll hear shortly, she has worked at some respected wineries and now makes wine for Foley family's Banshee Wines. Recognizing the benefits of traveling, she took advantage of that opportunity. And I said, that's one aspect of being a winemaker that I have envied, the chance to work harvest in other countries.
I always, when anybody asks me if they should do a harvest or not, I always say yes. And especially if you're young and you're out of college, a lot of people need to get a full-time job right away. And it's like, you don't have to. You definitely should get a job because you need to survive. But you could get a temporary position and you could go. The world opens up when you do a harvest, and then you realize, and there's other international harvests and other interns there. And so that's what I did. I met an intern who knows interns, who you network. This is how you start that network, and then those interns become winemakers and you watch them grow, and our careers all growing together. It's a small industry.
Mm-hmm.
And
I've heard that though, that those relationships can be very helpful and inspiring.
Very much so. And then some stay and become winemakers, some go in other industries. And with that, that's how you can really, really network, just by one harvest. And then most people in winemaking have done 1 to 2 or international harvests. It's very common to go to New Zealand or Australia because they speak English. It's exactly the opposite season, the Southern Hemisphere. Yeah. And the pay is usually pretty good. They have a higher minimum wage. I don't know now. But with me doing 4-H as a child and saving all that 4-H money from selling those replacement heifers, I was able to continue to do all these harvests because you're not doing this for the dough. No. If you are,
just the experience.
For the passion, the love, for the understanding of different cultures. And everyone was always be like, yo, you've been traveling so much. I've been like, oh, I've been working so much. Like, I'm working harvest. But you still get to embrace the culture, the winemaking techniques, the small nuances that are different, and take those back with you and say, hey, I know things that work and don't work. And I know things that are very unsafe. And thank you, OSHA. I appreciate you. Because I've been in other countries where it has been way less safe. And we tell those stories to everybody and freak them out so they stay safe.
Congratulations on the early part of your career.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been fun, a wild ride. I love it. I mean, this is what I'm meant to do.
So you went from Bronco to where?
So from there is when I went to Provenance, and I was in Rutherford. So then I went to Australia and Molly Duker in South Australia. Then from there, I was in Italy, in Umbria, in Montegiove. Nice. And that was it was a castle. I loved it. It was great, but I really had to slow down. There was a town of 80 people. I swear, maybe 25.
You must have stuck out there.
A little bit, yeah, but the town was so small. I just had to really just slow my brain down and be like, this is where you are right now. I think I read 12. It's just, you're slow, you're small. I would go out with the picking crew and pick for the first 2 hours. Oh man, did that suck. But this is the hard work and the labor of the land. And so after that, I went to Denmark for a couple months because I wasn't able to stay. I can't get my visa extended. And so I actually was working at a cherry wine facility, which was really fun. Frederiksdale, Kispevin, and they're fabulous, making some really, really fun products, traditional wine fermentation method, or grape wine fermentation. So really, really fun. And then after that, where did I go? I went to Denmark, South Africa. I went to South Africa next. So with South Africa, I stayed there for 5 months, and that was very eye-opening. Stellenbosch, the culture, the experience is very, very eye-opening.
What great opportunities you took advantage of. And if you sound like me, where there's an opportunity, if you can take advantage of it, you do it.
Yeah, you really should, especially I was trying to get as much done as I could before I got kicked off my parents' insurance and had to get a full-time job. I was pretty successful with that.
Definitely inspired by money and the fear of losing it.
Well, my family's very business oriented, and I want to do this economically so where I can still succeed and move forward and keep, not plateau in my career, but keep moving upwards. And I'm a very independent woman, and to do that, you need to, I gotta have that business. I have a business degree, so I got a little business sense, and we want to be smart when you're doing those harvest hops. It's when you're in the middle of harvest is when you're looking for the next job.
Alicia Sylvester certainly isn't the only one in the wine industry who strives to continually move forward, but sometimes a person can get stuck. The opportunities aren't there. But Alicia always seemed to find her next path when it was time. Good for her for staying on top of it. At this point in her career, she was about ready to come home for good. Well, almost.
So after I finished in South Africa, I came back and worked in Calistoga at Chateau Montelena. They were great, won the Golden Shovel Award. So I shoveled the most amount of tons that year.
Which means more than men.
More, but not the fastest. So I'll just want to make sure that's clear because slow and steady, yes, that would be me, the turtle. That's fine. But yeah, that was fun. There had been a woman on the Golden Shovel Award for shoveling the most tons. There was one other woman, and that was in 1974. Wow. Yeah, so I was determined for that. And then my final harvest abroad was in Argentina. When you do so many harvests, you kind of will hit a plateau where you want more responsibility. You want to be making more winemaking decisions. You want, instead of just doing the work, you want to know more why. You want to potentially make some decisions yourself and see how that turns out. So I knew after I finished at that harvest that I needed to kind of get something more permanent, and I came back and I wanted to work in Sonoma County because I hadn't worked in Sonoma County yet. I was like, I think something I'm going to like it over there on the other side of the hill. That's what they say. If you're in Napa and you're going to Sonoma, you're going to the other side of the hill and vice versa, right?
Sure.
And so I got a job at Sonoma-Cutrer. And I'm not normally a Chardonnay. I'm not, wasn't really into Chardonnays because I was raised with my mother likes some very bold Chardonnays, and I didn't really gravitate towards that. So when I started at Sonoma-Cutrer, you're the Chardonnay, only working with Chardonnay all harvest. And I was like, oh, well, is this a good idea to put all my eggs in one basket? It was a fabulous idea. Okay. It was fabulous. Kara Morrison over there is doing tons of experiments, so I learned immensely about Chardonnay and about the styles and about what kind of Chardonnay I like, which is definitely the more acidic Chablis style with oak as a kind of a backbone, but not overpowering. Right. So that was fabulous.
And you worked under an Australian.
Yeah, Mick Schroeder, yeah, right? Aussies, I get along well with the Aussies. I like Aussies, so it was a great experience. If they had a permanent position for me, I would have taken it, but they didn't. So I was about to get kicked off my parents' insurance, and harvest was coming. So the next harvest or before that, but is when I acquired the enologist position at Lancaster Estate. So that's when I joined Foley Family Wines, and that was in 2015. And I quickly became promoted to the assistant winemaker, and I was there with David Drake for 5 years. And so Lancaster Estate is in Alexander Valley, kind of the northeast tip, is in more kind of not valley, it's hills. They have 53 planted acres, estate fruit, hillside, valley, all different slopes and topography. Really, really special place. And it was just Dave Drake and I doing everything. So very hands-on. We're hard workers. My farm work ethic comes right out. It's fun working hard and you don't need to go to the gym. Basically, we're losing lots of weight during harvest, not like when you're an intern and drinking all the time. After work this time, we're working and then sleeping. So that was great. From there, I went to Maris for 2 years, and that's under Foley and our Hyacinth Cabernet house in St. Helena. Wow. And I kind of did a Cinderella a little bit over there, really helped clean up the facility, get things back into shape. And we've welcomed a new winemaker, Eric, just in the beginning of 2021, and we're excited to see the wines that he's pushing out.
How is that spelled? I don't think I've heard of Maris.
It's Merus. Maris. It's a beautiful. It was one of the original garage wineries that started in Napa Valley, kind of the cult-esque wineries, and really. High end, 100% new French oak, heavy extraction.
So leaning on that cult personality.
Exactly. It definitely is allocation lists only. This is your big Cabernet that you're really wanting to get and hold on to in your cellar. So a really great transition from going to our highest end Cabernets, I would say, for Sonoma County, Lancaster Estate, and then our highest end at Maris.
The now winemaker Alicia Sylvester. I don't usually follow a winemaker's full career in such detail, but Alicia was moving forward with such detail at a determined, steady pace, like she works in her career, that I just let her go. I find her fascinating to listen to, and hope you do too. She finally lands the gig she was looking forward to when we continue on the wine road. We're back on the wine road. Now I'll continue with the career of Alicia Sylvester, who has taken us through her college years at Cal Poly, traveling the world doing harvests through her time with the cult Napa brand Maris, which is owned by Foley Family Wines.
And so from there, I was promoted to take over Banshee brand at the very end of 2020, so in December, and we've hit the ground running. Obviously, our personalities match.
I think you would hit the ground running no matter what.
Yeah. I'm always, I guess, running a slow jog, low and slow. But I really, it's been a big shift from working with very small and high end to now having balancing both. So I have my direct to consumer and how Banshee was founded, small. And
yeah, I saw that they started in Dogpatch in San Francisco, which is kind of a cool little spot down there south of the city where there are a number of tasting rooms.
Yeah, so I'll give you the history. So Banshee was founded, and that was in 2008 was their first harvest, and it was 3 gentlemen. So we had like a wine broker, a winemaker, a friend. These guys were all in their apartment and we wanted to come up with this idea, right? So it's a very whimsical brand. I think there was some smoking of some marijuana to come up with some ideas, and it really came together great. And so this was in their apartment, and so they, like, even the name, we want the main focus, we want to make a Sonoma County Pinot Noir that really tastes high end, but it's affordable, because they were in their mid 20s. They're like, okay, this is the goal. Everything else kind of came together very whimsically after that. Okay, so we've got the goal. Now we need the name. How do we come up with the name? It's like when we need that little black dress that you can never find. Yeah, this was going on with that name. So they're around the table, and you have to come up with the name by tomorrow, or we can't print the labels. And one of the owners, the founder's dog in the background is like, and somebody lost their patience. It's like, get your dog to shut up. He's barking like a banshee. And they just, light bulb went off. Exactly. And so I was like, oh, thank goodness, because I Googled Banshee, and I was like, the death calls screeching lore character, this woman who calls death. No, that's not a very good marketing for my wine. Yeah. So much more fun and whimsical, just as the brand was created. Same thing when you look at Banshee's bottles. Our logo is this bird, and it's called a cockatrice. Waitress, cockatrice. And this is a mythical creature. This was on the mantelpiece of our original founders in that apartment in San Francisco. So this was there. And so they didn't know what it was. And they were just like, kind of, I think they had a joint and we're like, that thing is cool. Super cool. We want that on the logo. And so I Google it, and it's this mythical dragon chicken. Apparently if it looks at you, you're turning to stone. And so, but they just were way more whimsy with the brand, and that's really, really fun. And especially like now when I look at the bottles and there's no capsules on our bottles. Well, that was because initially we could not afford it. It's expensive to have 10 capsules. Now it's kind of moved towards our sustainability as that the reduce, reuse, recycle in that order. Well, we already reduced. Perfect. Right. So that's...
And more wineries are going that way.
Exactly. And the same thing. So when Banshee opened our tasting room, it's in Healdsburg, right off the square on Center Street. They opened it in 2013, and it was revolutionary of the time, relaxed seating where they wanted it to feel just like their apartment.
Comfortable, homey.
And that's what everyone's doing. They want to relax, seating, tasting. That time, people were still bar top tasting. Sure. And so it really, now everyone's definitely shifted. We want with Banshee, we're having conversations. We want to have fun and talk to each other and have our everyday drinking wine. And then my job is to hopefully, gonna have to pause on that convo because this wine's so good. That's my goal.
Yeah. I remember when that place opened, and it was unusual and really catchy.
Yeah, the hipsters, they say it's a hip. I'm not that hip. I always say I'm a dorky winemaker, but we're hip. I don't know what that means.
So since then, Foley's really expanded this brand, haven't they? Yeah.
So from then, let's see. Foley purchased Banshee in 2018, and that really allowed us to grow and to do both, stay small and grow. And that's it's great. So I can get great wines out to the masses. So where my wholesale SKUs, I've got, Sparkling, our new release, 10 of cups. That's our newest baby out. It is awesome. So that you'll see in the market. We've got Rosé, Sauvignon Blanc, our big winner, our Pinot Noir. And then I have a red blend called the Mordecai, which is also a whimsy name after the bird from the movie in the Royal Tenenbaums. And then by Wes Anderson. And then we have my Sonoma County Cabernet. So those are the wines you'll find. Oh, and the Chardonnay. How did I skip that? Of course, can't miss the Chardonnay.
You like Chardonnay now?
Yeah, of course. So yeah, exactly. And you have those wines that you can kind of find in the market, mostly at like Whole Foods. And we are actively, I'm out in the market when it's not harvest or bottling, trying to find new placements so that we can really get great wines to the masses that have fruit, acidity, and oak balanced nicely and weight, so you can feel like you're drinking wine. And then Foley we're one of the largest landholders in terms of vineyards. So that means my wine can have more consistency because we own these vineyards. Right. We're the largest vineyard landholder in Alexander Valley where we are right now. And that just adds consistency. And so that's great for my larger SKUs that you'll see in the markets. And then my wines that you won't find, so DTC, direct to consumer, direct to you right out of my tasting room, direct to you right from the wine club, direct to you right off the website. These are my smaller my vineyard designates. So one special vineyard, only 250, 500 cases, some 75 cases. So still small and special, just the way Banshee is.
And that was the theme that they built the brand on initially.
Exactly.
But they never owned vineyards, so that's totally different.
Yeah, so we were always contracting. So we'll have grower relations. So what we do still now is that I've actually picked some of the crown jewels that we have within Foley Family Wines, and then I still get a few really cute, special, small vineyards, some that we've had originally through from the beginning, some that we've transitioned out of and moving more into, because that's fun too. We want to have consistency always, but then also it's fun to give our wine club members something a little bit new every now and then.
Sure. Yeah, you always got to keep it fresh and interesting. And pricing now, I saw some of your Pinot Noirs or some of the other brands are lower priced, still maybe in the 20s and 30s, but you do have the higher priced Pinots.
Yeah, so my wines, you can find them in grocery store. I think I saw Whole Foods. There was even a little picture of me. This is kind of funny. It's on sale for $19.99 for the Pinot. And so I always say we're giving it away, basically, from me, but not as a consumer, great freaking value. And that's my job. I want everyone to be happy, right? Use your business mind, use your winemaking mind, use your consumer mind. I want all those to work so that everybody's happy. And so with that, with the wines from the tasting room, my single vineyard wines, those are going to be more exclusive, harder to find. You're not going to see them in grocery stores, and they're ranging around $65 in those range. And that has a different oak profile, a lot more care in terms of our fermentation technique, smaller batches, right? And it's fun for me. It's like having your AP students and then just having your great regular class too, right? I wasn't regular. I wasn't all AP all the time. I wanted to have a regular life.
Which you have not had. When you look at the overview of the whole life, you've not had a regular life.
Yeah, I guess, regularly balanced.
But it's nice to have a good variety of price ranges and flavors and vineyards.
Well, yeah, I want you to have your everyday drinking wine so that we can have a glass of wine on a Wednesday, on a Tuesday, on your, wine Wednesdays, whenever you'd like, and that you're not hurting your wallet. But then I also want to have nice special wines that, hey, I just got a promotion. Hey, we just finished, it's the solstice. Open a bottle of wine whenever you want. Just a little more special.
That's how you retain those wine club members. They don't need to go anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly. You can get your everyday wine, and then you've got your special wines, and come to the taste room, see if we can get a tasting or if I'm there. And it's a fun industry, and I love doing what I do.
It's been a real pleasure, and I'm glad I met you at the auction a few weeks ago and sitting next to you on the shuttle.
Yeah, it was great meeting you, and I'm glad we could connect.
The passionate, energetic, and entertaining Alicia Sylvester, the winemaker whose determination paid off well, and now she's in her dream job. But where will she go from here? I can easily see her in a managerial role someday, but I think I'd feel bad for her team trying to keep up with her. Read about their story and their wines at BansheeWines.com, and swing by the tasting room in Healdsburg if you're ever in North Sonoma County. Find more interviews and wine trivia at onthewineroad.us or .com. I'm on Facebook /onthewineroad. Go ahead and follow the page if you would. And I'm on Instagram as JD Wine Road. The podcast theme was written by Miguel de Oliveira, and the program is researched, written, and produced by me. And I appreciate you listening. I'm Jeff Davis.